Yet another disastrous day for Donald Trump as Vice President Kamala Harris continues to soar ahead in the polls, and she's filling up stadiums like Donald Trump can't do. I mean, you had Donald Trump in Montana before a pathetic, small, low-energy crowd. You had Vice President Kamala Harris filling up a stadium in Glendale, Arizona, a packed house. People were excited. Even Donald Trump's closest allies and supporters are ditching him. His podcast bros are leaving him. Joe Rogan says he's out. Joe Rogan announced he's supporting RFK Jr., to which Donald Trump then spent the day making angry posts about Joe Rogan. Always a very productive day in your campaign where you spend your day attacking Joe Rogan, a right-wing podcast bro. Donald Trump goes, "It will be interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed the next time he enters the UFC ring. MAGA 2024. How odd can you get right there? Meanwhile, you have the Arizona Republic with front page stories like this. Arizona Republicans are lining up to support Vice President Kamala Harris. You have this other page one from Friday. Never been something like this in the history of Arizona. Even some of the top Arizona reporters are saying they've never seen rallies this size with this type of energy, bigger than when former President Barack Obama was in Arizona. This, according to Von Hilliard, someone who knows Arizona just about as well as anyone. Also should be noted, Vice President Kamala Harris started a Truth Social account where she's just trolling Donald Trump for his small crowd sizes every single day. Take a look at this moment right here, though. During Vice President Kamala Harris's speech in Glendale, Arizona, this is when Governor Walz spoke, and he was saying, "Have you heard about our crowd sizes lately?" Here, play this clip.
Hey. Yeah. Wow. Well, you might have seen a few people showed up in Philadelphia the other night. And then 10,000 plus walked into a field in western Wisconsin. And then on Wednesday, the largest crowd of the campaign showed up in Detroit, Michigan. But Arizona just couldn't leave it alone, could you? Wow. You know, it's not as if anybody cares about crowd sizes or anything. So. Wow.
Here was another great moment from Governor Walz where he said, "Mind your own damn business. MAGA Republicans, stay out of our lives." Here, play this clip.
The hell out of him with the ballot. Look, you and I, especially the gray hairs in the crowd, we know our relatives. Republicans used to be the people talking about freedom. Not this group. When they talk about freedom, it means that the government should be free to invade your exam room with your doctor. Look, in Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. We maybe wouldn't make the same choices, but we respect them. And I know in Minnesota and in Arizona and places across this country, you know what makes society work best? Is when you learn a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. Mind your own damn business. You don't need it. I don't need you telling me what books to read. I don't need you telling me about what religion we worship. And I sure the heck don't need you to tell me about my family.
By the way, we have a Mind Your Own Business shirt at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's selling out right now. You can check it out right there. 100% union made, 100% made in the USA. Here's what Donald Trump's doing. Just take a look at all of the emails that his campaign sends. Look, I subscribe to his listserv, so you don't have to. But just take a look. It is literally email after email after email. Every 90 minutes, you get a new email from Trump's campaign with things like this. Ben, want a ride on Trump Force 2? I already paid the cost of your trip. No, you didn't. You did not pay the cost of the trip. You're asking for a $1,000 donation, and the person's going to get scammed and not go on a trip. That's what's going to actually happen. I secured a spot alongside my next VP, JD Vance, as our VIP guest for a ride on Trump Force 2. Yeah, I don't think I want to sit on the sofa couch with Shady Vance, but that's just me. Then Donald Trump goes, this is another email, the official Trump mugshot. Just think about that. He's running his campaign, bragging about his mugshot. This is a message from Donald Trump. Will you wear my gold mugshot? What? I want the world to remember what they did to me. Not guilty. Never surrender. No, I don't think I want to wear that. But again, how weird is he running on the fact that he's a convicted felon and that he wants people to wear his mugshot? Great work, Republicans, for having him as the leader of your rapidly declining political party. Then Donald Trump says this one, I'm making an announcement. And then he goes, this is his announcement. She thought I'd quit when her regime had raided my home with deadly force. I mean, are you the whiniest person in the world? What do you mean raided your home with deadly force? You weren't even at Mar-a-Lago. You stole our nuclear secrets. Who does that? You stole war plans and then you just shared them with people. No one raided your home with deadly force. You were out of Mar-a-Lago. You refused to return documents. And then you said that you telepathically declassified them and made our nuclear secrets your personal property. No, that belongs to we, the people. Then Donald Trump goes, she thought I'd quit after being wrongfully convicted in a Soviet-style show trial? You mean where a unanimous jury convicted you of falsifying business records in New York after a grand jury indicted you and you refused to take the stand and invoked your Fifth Amendment right under the United States Constitution? Or do you mean when you were found liable for sexual assault where you fled to Scotland and Ireland so you wouldn't even have to be at the trial despite saying that you were going to testify? Or are you talking about when you were found liable for over $500 million for business fraud in a civil case before Justice Engoron where your lawyer said that you were going to testify, but then you refused to take the stand in your own case and then just went outside and just started whining? Then you go, and the biggest insult of all, she thought she could turn you against me and steal away my best supporters. Well, it's really getting under Donald Trump's skin that there is a mass exodus right now of Republicans who are leaving him, who are fleeing him because they realize what an extremist maniac he is. And when Joe Rogan is leaving you, a right-wing podcast bro, that is saying something. I mean, look, what's Donald Trump even talking about? He goes and he talks about how Vice President Kamala Harris turned black. She has a black Jamaican father. That's what your campaign message is? She turned black? She's biracial. Well, what kind of, this is what Donald Trump says.
Mr. President, Kamala Harris's father is Jamaican American, and she went to a historically black college. How is she only recently deciding to be black?
Well, you'll have to ask her that question because she's the one that said it. I didn't say it. So you'll have to ask her. And I very much appreciate that question, but you'll have to ask her. But I've known her for a long time. I actually contributed to her campaign a long time ago because I was a developer. I contributed to lots of campaigns of Democrats, Republicans, and some were liberal and some were conservative. But you'll have to ask her about that. But to me, it doesn't matter. But to her, from her standpoint, I think it's very disrespectful to both, really. Whether it's Indian or black, I think it's very disrespectful to both. To me, it doesn't matter.
Hey everyone, I want to share something that's really made a difference for me when it comes to enjoying a night out with friends. It's called ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a difference the next day. Even after a night out, I can confidently plan on hitting the gym, enjoying a brunch, or just getting some important work done without worry. I'll be honest, I was a bit skeptical of ZBiotics at first, but then while hanging out with my friends at our favorite bar downtown, I decided to give it a try, and let me tell you, it really works. The first time I tried pre-alcohol was during a friend's wedding weekend. I had my first drink of the night, a delicious old-fashioned, by the way, right after taking ZBiotics. The next morning, I was up early, feeling great, and ready to join the rest of the wedding party for breakfast and activities. It was a total game changer. With vacations, weddings, birthdays, and reunions, there's so much going on this summer. Get the most out of your plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas to get 15% off your first order when you use Meidas at checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S, and use the code Meidas at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times.
Okay, so compare that message to what Vice President Kamala Harris is talking about. And by the way, here was a protester at her speech in Arizona. Watch how Vice President Kamala Harris handles this. Play this clip.
Which includes respecting the voices that I think that we are hearing from. And let me just say this on topic of what I think I'm hearing over there. Let me just speak to that for a moment, and then I'm going to get back to the business at hand. So let me say, I have been clear. Now is the time to get a ceasefire deal and get the hostage deal done. Now is the time. And the president and I are working around the clock every day to get that ceasefire deal done and bring the hostages home. So I respect your voices, but we are here to now talk about this race in 2024.
Okay, and then on the other hand, you have Donald Trump talking about how his insurrection crowd size is bigger than Martin Luther King's crowds. Like what? Play this clip.
Never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken. I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington, and you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd, we actually had more people. They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people, and I'm okay with it because I liked Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah.
Okay, now compare that to Vice President Kamala Harris. Play her clip.
And on top of all of this, if Donald Trump wins in November, he intends to end the Affordable Care Act and take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. You remember what that was? Remember what that was? He won't win. You're right. why we are going to win is because we remember, and we are smart, and we know what's happening, and we're not falling for the gaslighting, and we're not falling for the okie-doke.
I want to share this with you. I recently interviewed, on Friday actually, I interviewed George Conway. He runs now the Anti-Psychopath PAC. And watch how he diagnoses Donald Trump. Take a look at this. Welcome. I want to get your reaction to yesterday's bizarre, disastrous, unhinged, mentally unwell press conference by Donald Trump.
Well, I think you just summed it up there. I mean, I think this is the part of the campaign I've been so looking forward to, which is when people actually get to see Donald Trump again. I think it was a great advantage for Trump for essentially the last 3.5 years to be off of a lot of people's radar screens. So they began to forget. I mean, they even forget the pandemic and what happened during the pandemic, but let's leave that aside. They forget his craziness. They forget the chaos. They forget the reason why he just exhausted the American people. And so now they're seeing that again, and he's much, much worse now. He's much worse because these people with, malignant narcissists, these narcissistic sociopaths only get worse over time, as history has shown. And he's getting older, and he's obviously suffering cognitive decline. And he's under so much more pressure than he has been over the past few years, because now he realizes he stands convicted of 34 felonies. He stands charged with 54 more. And if he's not elected president, there is going to be nothing that's going to prevent him from going to prison. Maybe he'll get lucky in one of his appeals, but he's not going to go 4 for 4. And so he knows he's looking at a prison sentence. It stresses him out. He doesn't know how to combat it. He's also suffering narcissistic injury because he is watching Kamala Harris get the acclaim and the praise and the applause and the crowds that he can't get. And she's basically trolling him just by being a happy warrior. And he's miserable. So, it's interesting that he's decided to stop campaigning over the next couple of weeks. I think he's done that. He's doing that because I think to protect his own fragile ego. He can't compete with her. So right now he's not going to try. He's going to sit there and sulk, and he's going to start pointing fingers at his aides, and he's going to start lashing out. And we saw a lot of that yesterday.
Yeah, and again, as Donald Trump makes post after post of QAnon posts, and he posts a photo of Vice President Kamala Harris' face imposed on a beetle, and it's like he darkens the face. It's like a racist meme, and he posts weird photos of himself looking like a cowboy, or as he tries to tank our stock market, even though the stock market is doing well and it's up 50% since he stopped disgracing the office and since the Biden-Harris taken over. Vice President Kamala Harris is speaking to the people. She's sending a message talking about policies while Donald Trump is continuing to just go on these unhinged, bizarre rants, posting stolen valor about Governor Walz. Donald Trump, Mr. Bone Spurs, you're attacking someone who served in our military for 24 years the way Governor Walz did. So what in the world are you even talking about here? Here's the front page of Drudge. MAGA running out of steam. Poll shows the Don losing in Miami. Rogan jumps ship. I think that's a powerful front page of Drudge right there. We'll keep you posted every step of the way, but watching Donald Trump decline and meltdown is definitely a sight to behold. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.